Hello, welcome to another Drama is Life. With your host, I am Theresa White, licensed mental health counselor, registered drama therapist, and addiction counselor here in Terre Haute, Indiana. I am the owner and CEO of In Time Creative Counseling Services, where we offer a combination of the expressive arts with traditional therapy, drama therapy. And we offer that in person, in groups, and also virtually. If you want more information about our services, feel free to go to our website at www.intimeccs.com, or you can call us during regular office hours. So tonight we are on our trail of leaving a legacy. And so before we get into our title, I wanted to make sure that I get our announcements in so that once we get started, I do not forget, because that can happen. So for those who have been watching us for this month, you know that this is our business birthday month. So happy birthday to In Time Creative Counseling Services. And in doing so, we are offering a chance for the community to come and celebrate with us, at least part one anyway. So you can come on this Friday, January 27th at 3 p.m. at the AMC Theater. And we are seeing the movie Avatar. I believe it's Way of the Water. You do have to RSVP because we only have limited slots. So if you want to attend, the last day to RSVP is Wednesday. This Wednesday coming up, the 25th by 5:30. You can RSVP by emailing Alyssa, ALYSSA at intimeccs.com, or again, calling our office. You also may see an event that is on our page. You can also go there and you will see the form. You can click on to RSVP. So feel free to see our event to do that as well. The other announcement, number 2, is that we will be on WTWO Channel 2 live with their Good Day Live. We will be on there tomorrow. So if any of you have a lunch break or you have some time at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we would love for you to watch the segment on Good Day Live with In Time Creative Counseling Services. So plan your time and have your TV set so you can watch us when we come on the news. I'm so excited that we're on the news. So in tonight's topic with leaving a legacy, we are on part 3. Last week we talked about making sure that do we remember the time, as we kind of tied in with it being Martin Luther King Jr. Day and celebration of his birthday, that it was important that we remembered history, that we remember the things that make us who we are today, so that it can affect who we are today. We can use that to propel us into the future that we want to be. And again, leaving a legacy for the generation behind us. Today, I had a very interesting conversation with someone that I work with, and it really sparked a question in me. How will you be remembered? So tonight's topic with our legacy trail is how will you be remembered? And as you think about that, I want you to think about someone that you have maybe lost along the way, whether it's in childhood or whether it's in adulthood, and you've been to a funeral or a homegoing service or a celebration of life, whatever the title is that your family calls when you go and you pay respects to those who have passed away. People come and give their words of honor and condolences to the families. This really sparked a conversation because, with myself, as I've talked about my own grief journey at times, that recently I have lost a family member. And so it sparked with watching some of the family members' comments on social media or just hearing them even before the service. You'll hear people say, well, we're going to miss this about you, or we really enjoyed that about you. And you hear that typically when you go to someone's funeral or homegoing service, where family or friends or community will get up and say, their respects, or what we call pay their respects, or have a few words. And in those few words, what they are doing is giving you their summary of an experience that they've had with your loved one. And how important that is for you to hear that. And I know that sometimes that I have a lot of family, and even myself, I've been to more funerals than I would like to admit, even can count. I do not like going to them. They're not fun for anybody, but I do go for many different reasons, but having a conversation with someone that I work with about their loved one and their experience with their loved one's funeral and how people responded to come and pay respects to this person and how they have lived their life really brought tears to my eyes, because that's what it's really about. Yes, the person that you are coming to pay respects for cannot hear your words, but I think it's really important that what you remember about them and what you've gleaned from their life is shared with their family, because that really is something that they can take away. That's a gift that not everybody really understands the value of. And so I'll give an example. So, going to a funeral of a loved one, I've heard many people say things like, oh, they were really kind, or they're the most giving person that I knew. I'm really going to miss their giving heart. And they give different attributes and they give different statements to this person and what they brought to the relationship. There's also been times that I've been to funerals, and when you walk in, it's standing room only. And you think you can go in and you're 15 minutes early. You think I'm gonna go early, I'm gonna get a seat. But when you walk in, and I've been to those, when you walk in and you're kind of looking around like, whoa, who are all these people? Now it touches your heart, because one thing that you may think about as a question is, first, of course, who are all these people? But also really like, wow, who are all these people who are coming to pay respects to my loved one? And what kind of impact could my loved one have had that I had no idea about? That they lived course beyond just our relationship, that they affected this many people, that sometimes if you're not there early enough, or have a reserved seat, even loved ones are standing room only. Now, I say that because most people want to live a life where they are remembered. They want and remembered for good things. People don't typically wake up in the morning and hope you remember them for something negative or something that will be detrimental to their name or to their family. And for some of you, you may remember that I've mentioned in our lives before, where I have been told, and my mother left this with me. There are times that I would go to school, and before I went out the door, she would have you remember your name. And she may say, you are and you say your last name. Don't forget who you are, right? Or don't, basically put shame on the name of our family by acting up in school or being disobedient, disrespectful, etc. And as a child, you're kind of like, okay, right? You just didn't want to get in trouble. So you're like, okay, I'm going to make sure I'm, doing what I'm supposed to do at school. But when I really think about that, again, when you say that person's last name, what comes to mind? When you say the name, White, or when you say the name Brown, or when you say the name Green, or, Apple, whatever your last name may be, or the family history name. When people hear that name, do they hear that name and they remember it as a name of honor because of people in your family, or because someone has left such an imprint on their life that they remember it? They remember those interactions. They remember that encounter. And I say that because there have been times that I've looked at the comments, as I mentioned, with my own family, and I was like, wow, I didn't know that they did that. Wow, I had no idea they were a part of that. I didn't know that they volunteered here, or that they really did this for young people, or that back when they were younger, they worked in this field. Depending on the age of their passing, people who passed away maybe at an older age have a lot more life to remember, and a lot more people that they may have affected. And so I say that because the question when we talk about leaving a legacy is, how will you be remembered? We all know that tomorrow's not promised. We say that statement a lot of times very loosely, but it is a reality. And a lot of times when it comes to death, it has hit people very suddenly and unaware, which can really affect the grief process, but we're not talking about that right now. We'll deal with that at a different time. But when someone passes and you're like, whoa, I wasn't expecting that, then immediately you're going to what you remember, what you're going to miss, and those types of things. And so with certain family members that I have lost, and I'm hearing different statements of, oh, I'm going to miss this about them, or they did this about them. Before you even get to the funeral or the homegoing service, people are already sharing, whether they can be present or not, the effect that your loved one has had on their life, and they have left this type of legacy, this type of memory in people's lives. And it made me sit back and say, if I was to pass away today, how would I be remembered? Now, people have had all kind of comments. People will say positive things about you. People will say negative things about you. But at that moment, most of the time, people are coming to homegoing services, your funeral, etc., to say positive, honorable things about you. Unless people have just really been horrible people. I don't know if I've been to that type of funeral. But it made me wonder and say, even though, of course, you personally will not be present to hear what people are saying about you, how are you living your life so that what they say about you, your other family members can be proud of, that they can take that as a gift? As I was sharing with this person that I'm working with, that they shared that it left a huge smile and awe that they had with their experience with their loved ones, people's response to their loved one's life, and how people talked about this loved one and how they have been there for them, and what kind of effect and relationship that this person had with their community. And I say that because, of course, as we talked last week with Martin Luther King Jr. and the legacy that was left, of course, they have many people who have left huge legacies. But how often are we talking about them? How often are we sharing those legacies with our next generation? As we talk about with leaving a legacy, what are you leaving your family? What kind of name? What kind of brand? I guess I will say it that way. What kind of mark are you leaving for people to remember you? Are they saying you are the sweetest person? Are they saying you're the meanest person? Are they saying that you are tough and you are about your business? Are they saying you are compassionate and caring? Are they saying that you would give the shirt off your back to people? What are they saying? And if your answer to that is you don't know, then it may be a perfect opportunity for you to intentionally leave impressions that can warm hearts, that will be compassionate and kind and caring. Again, we know we live in a world that people are doing all kind of devastating things that sometimes are unthinkable. Wouldn't it be great to be able to leave an imprint on someone's life to the point that they show up at your funeral, at your homegoing, just to tell your family how great of a person you are, or were to them, and how that is going to continually impact not only them, but their family and every interaction that they're going to have, just because they have one interaction or multiple with someone that they have had in their life, you. What if you could leave that legacy? And I'm not saying what if, because you still can. If you have breath in your body right now, you still have an opportunity to absolutely, intentionally leave that type of legacy. Whether you die at 20, 30, 40, 50, on down the line, no matter what that date says, as people talk about with the dash that goes in between, let that dash be so, let that dash have so much compassion and love that people show up and are compelled to show up, where it's standing room only, because you've had that kind of effect on people's lives. And again, we don't share stories enough in our families that people can hear from our grandparents and aunts and uncles, and those who are our foremothers and forefathers in our families that have truly have some wonderful character that has impacted us throughout the generations. Those are the conversations that I believe should be on constantly on social media. Those are the conversations and the posts that should constantly be happening at the dinner tables, that are constantly happening when we have our holidays. That's what we should be talking about. Those kind of legacies, those people who have left that kind of imprint on our lives, because they are the ones that matter. Not saying that people who have hurt us have not mattered, but those who you knew, really put a smile on your face, that made you feel like you were important, reminded you that you were loved, that you were compassionate. Those are the conversations that you want to have, that you want people to have about you when it's your time. And so that question, I encourage you to answer it. And if you don't know, again, ask people in your life, what are you saying? What would you say? And of course, you may not get the absolute honest answer because you're not deceased at this moment, but to just get an idea of what kind of impact you've had on people. Begin to ask people, what, as Jesus did in the scriptures, what are man saying about me? And then he turned it and said, but who do you say I am? And that's the true question. When you're talking to people, who do you say that I am? And I encourage you to answer that question not only for yourself, but if you don't know, make sure that you leave a legacy where you will absolutely be remembered for things you desire to be remembered for. And that's all I have for you tonight. I hope that you take, again, something with this and you use it, because leaving a positive and impactful legacy absolutely leaves a great imprint, not only on our mental and emotional health, but our physical as well. It feels good. It makes my heart smile to think about the great things that people have said about family members that I'm connected with, that I'm kin to. So imagine what it can feel like if you're that family member for somebody. Hope that you would consider doing so, leaving a great legacy. Have a great and beautiful week and continue to shine bright no matter where you are. See you next week. Bye-bye.